Welcome to the Undo podcast, where we rethink work, rest and play. I'm Dulcie.
And I'm Yemisi. Hi.
And we are here to have the conversations that don't happen enough about ambition, identity, rest, joy, and doing life on your terms. So if you are done with shrinking, settling, or running on fumes, you're in the right place. So this week, I want to talk about this lie that a lot of us are carrying around, and it sounds like this: I'm just not the creative type.
Oh my god.
Come on, we've all said it. Well, some of us, most
yes,
of us.
Yes, I like yes. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I've heard that quite a few times.
It could have been that you had an art teacher when you were a kid and they just crushed your confidence, or maybe now as an adult your life is just so busy that you have no time for creativity and imagination, and so I think too many people have got to a place where they just think they're not creative. That's for those creative people over there. It's not us. And we are here this episode to break down that myth, because creativity is not something you're born with. It's not a personality trait. It is a human impulse. And like anything else, all it needs is a little bit of oxygen.
Let's go. Breathe some life into that thing.
Exactly. So that if you've been feeling uninspired or stuck, or that your ideas have dried up a little bit, this one is for you, you little arid person, you.
Get some water. You thirsty.
Thirsty bit. Okay, so creativity. And this, wowee. If there was ever an episode for you, Yemisi, it's this one. It really, really is. You are just, to me, like such an inspiration when it comes to that relationship we have with our own creativity and nurturing it and growing it. And I think, like I said in the intro, a lot of people feel like when they hear that word creativity, they think, oh, art.
Yeah.
You know, drawing, writing, painting, and that you're either born creative or you're not. And of course, so many of us, when we were young, we're told that we're not good at creative things. And then as adults, depending on the kind of life or career that you have, creativity starts to feel a bit indulgent or childish. And when we talked about play, we really touched on a lot of that stuff of the things we think about creativity and play and things. And we also talked in that episode about, this is how you solve problems. This is how you keep your brain plasticity going. And this is how you can, imagine things. But I really want to just hear a bit more from you, Yemi, on your relationship with creativity and like how that has changed the ebbs and the flows of creativity through your life. I mean, succinctly, of course.
Definitely. Like this is my jam.
Okay.
But before I start with that, you mentioned, we talked about play, and that's the thing about creativity and play are so intrinsically linked that it's almost like you need to also unpack your feelings around play to really dig into your creativity. Because as scientists, you want to achieve, when you want to achieve productivity, or you want to do, you have to do the research, you have to plan, there's a very structured set of steps you have to take. Whereas for creativity is about play, like to be as creative as you possibly can. You have to be able to play as much as you possibly can. And so I think that was a realization that came to me more towards the latter point of my life rather than earlier on. But I've always been an avid reader. I told you I used to hide from my mom. She'll be in the kitchen looking for me, like, come and cook, and I'm hiding in the living room reading, and I was always immersed in other people's creativity in that way, and that sparked my own, right? And I used to write little short stories to myself. I love playing with Barbie, Cindy, whatever, and paper dolls. And then paper dolls are great because you have to make decisions as to what this thing is gonna wear, right? And then I came across this game called The Sims, which is basically a dollhouse but in digital gaming form. Basically, that's what it is. It's paper dolls, but in a game form. And I remember like the first time I realized that creativity could be something that not just play, but something that could generate income, that could bring something apart from just the joy of creating, right? So I used to design clothes for these like digital pixels, and people would buy, they would actually pay money for that. That's when I started realizing that actually, wait, there's the way I see creativity is more than just, you know, playing as a child. There are elements and there are various facets to this. But you know this, Dulcie, like there's a point at which when you know, your academics start to take more importance, and something has to give. Like, there's only so much room you can make for things, especially as a child, where you don't have as much agency as you would, right? Like, there's a limit to the play you can play. There's a limit. So I started to impose limits on myself. And then when you get to, like, you know, secondary school, and you see like more like artistic, creative, like people, you start like what do you call it? Compartmentalizing creativity into, oh, I can't draw, I can't. Yeah. So all of those things started to kind of creep in. And so I started to identify more as, you know, the science student, right? And the way the curriculum was, like, you were either a science student or you were an art student. That's another thing. Schools, oh my God. The way the subjects were set up, it was basically you had two choices, two paths. You could take the science path, which was physics, chemistry, biology, math, all of that stuff, or the arts, which was, you know, RE, arts, design. There wasn't anything like you could mix and match. That did not exist. So that's another thing that kind of pushed creativity out of my immediate sphere as I grew older. And then I had like I told you, a midlife crisis. I mean, so I went from creativity being around play to not doing creativity at all, to then making money from creativity for a short stint. I used to have a web design company with my brother, and so I went from one extreme to the other. Creativity is a way to make money, right? And then I just didn't have time for creativity at all for a long time, and so I had the midlife crisis, and I was like, okay, there's gotta be more to life. There was something missing. I felt like I was missing a limb, or I was not operating at my full potential. I didn't know what the issue was, because I thought it was okay if I just get that promotion, or if I just get more specialist, if I develop my expertise in this area, you know, in this area that I'm in, and I was doing all of those things, and I was not finding any fulfillment whatsoever. And so I was like, okay, what is going on? Like, what is this? And it's really funny how this happened. So this was literally like May of last year. I went on this, so randomly came across this like visual communication course about how to like create visual metaphors, very randomly. And something about it was like, that's the one. Do it. And I was like, really? Like, it's just go for it. And I just went for it. And it's really what it says is about turning narratives or turning ideas into a visual format in a way that people can more easily understand. So there's a purpose behind it. It wasn't really art. It was visual communication. But something about, like, part of it was drawing. So it was the drawing part that really got me. The moment I put my stylus to my tablet and started drawing, Dulcie, I don't know what happened. I've never been like particularly artistic. I've been good enough to be like, okay, that's but there was something I felt, Dulcie. It was like a thunderclap, like you know those old films, like news strikes, like Frankenstein. It lives. And that was May last year, and I haven't looked back. Like, I drew one thing. It started with stick figures. Then it was like, change the body to like a square or a rectangle. And then add a bit of outline to the arm, so it becomes less of a stick figure. And that was it. Like, something opened up in my mind. And from that, it was just like, I couldn't stop. It was like a gate had been opened, and all the pent-up creativity I hadn't had a chance to express over the last like 3 decades or so just came out in a rush. And yeah, nearly a year is just over a year later, and I've got like hundreds of visuals, and from it's just I just started following my curiosity more. Like if I see something I like the look of, oh, I want to know how to do that, and then I'll just go pick it up. I've stopped second guessing things now, and stopped thinking about what I should be doing, and focusing on what I want to be doing, and that's the power of creativity.
Wow. I love all of that. But before I start giving my thoughts and everything, can you just do a really quick plug in case anybody wants to see your work? Where can they find you?
So I go by the moniker Ayakin Creates. That's Ayakin Creates on Instagram. I've got a Substack newsletter. I've got a Pinterest account. You can check me out there.
And can we buy your art?
Yes, you can buy some of my stuff. If you go to my website, yemisiolusonya.com, you can find links to my online shop there.
Amazing. And we'll put all of that in the show notes. Now, for my thoughts, I love what you're saying about that relationship with creativity. And it really is, I think, a journey that a lot of people will have the first few bits but not have quite realised that last part of getting back to it, right? Of having that as children, for most of us who are lucky to have positive sort of childhoods and whatnot, we have healthy relationships with our creativity and it is intrinsic with play. And then shit gets real, all parents, education, work, and we get more and more cut off from it for most people. And then if we are really lucky and actually really intentional, we find our way back to it. And there's something you said about it felt like you were missing a limb. It was really interesting because I think a lot of people have that feeling, but try and fill it with other things.
Yes.
Let me buy a new car. Let me get a house. Let me go on a fancy holiday. Let me marry this useless man. But actually, what you need is to reconnect with your creativity.
Yeah.
That's the gap. For me, my relationship with creativity is different and probably not as common. As an only child, and because I've always been a little bit mad.
That's all my friends.
Exactly. All my friends are like that.
A little bit mad. Honestly.
Touch.
Yeah.
Just a sexy little sprinkle of insanity.
That's a t-shirt.
Can you create that? Can you design that?
It's absolutely a sexy little sprinkle of insanity. Yes.
So I have always been hyper imaginative. I think they have names for it now. I think I saw somewhere on TikTok. There's one of the things I used to do, which I think now is some sort of disorder, but whatever. Details, schmeetails.
Potato.
They call it some dissociative something. I was like, whatever, man. That's just how I used to get to sleep. Thanks. But I've always been able to keep myself busy and amused. And so I've really stories have always been my thing, of creating absolute universes around myself and living in them. People would just think, oh, there's that little girl and she's just, there. No, she's on a different planet. She's captain of a huge starship right now. You have no idea. Books were a really, really big part of my life as well. Voracious reader. And I think because of that, I also then built my own worlds to escape into as a kid. And then, I actually was quite lucky during school that I did do both paths. So by the time I got to A-levels, I was doing chemistry, biology and maths, but also theatre studies. And it was always my insistence that I had to do. And GCSE, I did the same, but I also did art. And I was quite a decent artist. Not as good as the really, really good artists, but pretty good. Not that long ago, we were moving and I came across some of my old stuff and I was like, actually really good. I saw a self-portrait. I was like, did I do that? I can barely write my name today, but I used to be able to create this stuff. I was pretty blown away by it. And I did have a serious childhood obsession with Leonardo da Vinci, but whatever. I said I was crazy. But then I think because of the way my mind was set, even in the most boring of times, aka doing a degree in biochemical engineering, I always had a little funny way of approaching things. But then, and I think I said this in the play episode, I'm very privileged in that I went into industries and careers in which it was all creativity all the time. Even with the more commercially minded stuff, you have to be creative, right? So whether in advertising or marketing or innovation consulting, I've always been within a creative space, an intrinsically creative space, which has helped me. And then I've been lucky to form friendships and relationships in which I can indulge, my sprinkle of madness, find other people with sprinkles, and we're just sprinkling our little bonkersness everywhere else and making other people feel alienated. So yeah, I have had that. It's always been there for me, which has been really great, but I've not always been as deep into it as I would like. And I think starting work well has helped me express myself, but I'm still looking for more. I think my life is one that requires a huge amount of creativity and creative endeavors to feel even vaguely satisfied. And so I definitely want to get into more writing and storytelling and art and just doing a bit more stuff that makes me feel like myself, and that's all mine. And a creation for me is so vital, and people are going to experience it to different extents, right? And also we are both quite artistically minded, whether it's drawing or acting or whatever it might be. That is not what creativity is.
No.
So creativity, honestly, is just looking at things in fresh ways. It's refusing to be locked into things just because that's how it's always been. It's trying to find new approaches to old problems. It's being curious. It's allowing yourself to enjoy the world around you, to enjoy yourself. So creativity for you might be organising the books on your bookshelf in a particular way,
like that coding stuff.
It could be coding. There are so many things it could be, and you have to find it for yourself. So I just really want to stress that it's not art only. That's the most obvious thing we think about, but there are so many ways to be creative.
I hate cooking, but cooking is one of the highest expressions of creativity, because you literally start with nothing, and then at the end of it you come out with a whole meal that nourishes,
especially baking.
And delights, especially baking. And you see how, so there's so many facets. I think that's the thing, like creativity is not just one thing, and you can be one person that have various outlets and facets of creativity through that one person. So it's not just about doing one thing in one particular way. Like you said, it's about seeing different approaches to the same problem.
Creativity is the how, not the what.
Creativity is the how, not the what.
So let's talk a little bit about why the way we think about creativity hasn't really worked.
Tell me.
I don't know why I'm talking in this low Sunday night radio.
This is a new character. I'm not sure
what character. So, viewing creativity as fixed traits limits the way in which we believe ourselves to be creative, and that limits how we think, how we feel, how we grow. And when we suppress creativity, whether it's because of the lives that we have or the negative voices that have told us otherwise in the past or present, we often lose energy and confidence and that sense of possibility. And these are all things we really need to live our lives, especially in a world that is increasingly complex and tense, right? What you said before about it felt like you were missing a limb. That is how it is when you suppress your creativity. And of course, late stage capitalism, we live in a system that rewards efficiency, not imagination. And we can see that with the prevalence of AI, art, and all the bullshit. No, I'm not going to get into that right now.
Same. I'm just gonna sigh and leave it at that, because I have so many thoughts about this extreme capitalistic society that we live in. So, but yeah.
Just remember that creativity isn't extra. It's how we as humans have always problem solved, connected, and evolved.
That last bit is so important.
Right?
It's so important.
So it's time for Dr. Dulcie Darkside. She's on her way in.
Dr. Dulcie Darkside.
Calling Dr. Dulcie Darkside. Hello, I'm back. It's Dr. Dulcie Darkside.
Hello.
And she's here to talk. No, hold on. Let me jump out of third person before I get carried away.
I never stepped into the abyss.
Yeah. Call of the void. No. I'm back. I'm here. So I have been practicing this name, and if ever he hears this, or anyone who has the same name hears this, I apologise if I'm about to butcher your name. But I want to talk about the work of Hungarian-American psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
Wow.
Come on.
Wow.
She said come on as if she knows she got it right.
I feel like you did, because I wouldn't have known that was a pronunciation from that spelling.
Right, because it looks like something very different. And I did my Googles and I found a number of videos and they all said Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. So I'm hoping that that's correct. Mr. MC coined the term flow. And I think a lot of people have probably heard about flow.
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of just talks about like creativity and joy and how they're deeply linked, and that when you feel like you are in your creative bag, you also feel more engaged, more curious, and more alive, right? And so flow does talk to your capability plus your challenge, and those things kind of meeting in this constant balance of the challenge stretches you, but you have the ability to meet it. And then the challenge increases and you keep meeting it, and it's just this lovely relationship that is growth oriented. Also, there was another study by Adobe, and it found that 75% of people believe that they are not living up to their creative potential.
That does not surprise me.
It's not surprising. That's a lot of people who are walking around feeling dimmed down, and honestly, all they need is to give themselves permission to reconnect with their creative spark. So creativity isn't just this for the stage or for the sketchbook. It shows up in how we solve difficult problems, or how we daydream, or even how we put together an outfit.
Oh, Dulcie, that's you.
That's me.
Oh.
It's not about being a genius. It's not about being the best. It's just about staying open. And I want to talk about that with a particular person in mind in the next segment, Living Proof.
Living Proof, yeah.
Okay, dokie. Oh my God, I'm really giving myself such a job today with names.
Go for it, you're creative.
I should know this one because this is a very important person to me.
Okay.
But you know when you're like, I've always said the name to myself.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, is this how you say it? But I think this is right. I think it's Hayao Miyazaki. Right? So some people I'm sure listening know who that is. And he is the legendary animator behind Studio Ghibli. Yes. So he is often asked where his ideas come from. And he normally says, I just look around and let myself be moved. I'm smiling now because this man, his son, all of them, they make me feel so happy. These films just, oh God. Anyway, so he still draws by hand. He takes walks to clear his mind, and he works without a formal script when he's starting because he trusts his creativity as a feeling, not a formula.
Can I just say something about that, Dulcie? Do you know creativity is an energy, it's a force. The more you trust it, the more you exercise it, the more it will not let you down.
Truth. Facts.
And this is living proof, right? Oh my God.
Proof.
This is okay. Nice.
So
nice.
His films are often about imagination, about wonder, and about the beauty of ordinary life. Look, it's animated films, but I can promise you, anyone that has watched any of his films, I dare you to watch one of his films and not immediately want to eat whatever these characters are cooking. Like, he can make the most seemingly mundane thing just look so comforting and real, and I don't know how he puts emotion into every brushstroke. It's really quite extraordinary. I'm fangirling. So they released The Boy and the Heron. Was it last year or the year before? But recently, that was a film that came out, and it's a really good film. I think it was on Netflix, and it's about grief and legacy and imagination. He was 83 when that was released. What? Okay, like, there is no age to creativity. There's no upper limit. You can live your life that way. And so, as you can probably guess, for me, Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli, I should say, has a really, really special place in my heart. I remember the first film I watched from them was Princess Mononoke. And that is an absolute masterpiece, apart from the actual subject matter, which talks a lot to industrialization and the environment and stuff, it really shifted some things for me. But it also shifted how I thought about animation and beauty and nature and storytelling, which is really my bag. And Miyazaki reminds us in his work, it doesn't have to be like fast and flashy and slick and perfect. It just needs to be. And to create with honesty, all we need to do is just be curious. So yeah, if there's anything to take, I mean, there's so much to take away from Hayao, but it's that you're not uncreative. If anything, you're just out of practice.
Yes.
But the good news is you can always come back to it. Okay. And also, you don't have to show anything to the world. No one gives a fuck. It's not their business. It's for you. And that's all that makes it matter, that you are doing something. It like, remove from your mind that it has to look good. That doesn't mean anything.
Good does not mean anything. Good is very subjective anyway.
It's completely subjective. So if you really are attached to that word, then think about this. Anything you create, provided it's not harmful, is good. Okay?
I love that little disclaimer.
Yeah, because I'm going to say, I was made a homemade strength. And say, because I heard it on Undo.
The meth labs.
Please. I've made my own speed. I don't think so, Walter White. Get out of here, man. Trying to put it on my head. It's not possible, son.
I don't want peace. I want problems. That's
like...
You're like...
Cooking up that crap, and you said Dulcie told me. No, she didn't. Dulcie said it was good. No, she didn't.
That little disclaimer was just really smooth. Very creative.
Please. So it's time for the undo.
Let's do it.
So if you want to loosen your grip on perfection and reconnect with your lovely, saucy little creative side, let's get into the undo. Okay?
Let's go.
What you're going to unlearn. Unlearn that creativity is the same as artistic talent.
Good one.
Unlearn that if it's not useful or monetizable, it doesn't count.
Yes. Cosign. Yeah. Oh my God.
Especially in this day and age. We're not talking about side hustles.
You do not have to make money from it. You don't have to. There's nothing wrong with making money for it.
No, because we both do. But that, you don't
but you don't have to. Like, don't put that pressure on it.
Not at all. And unlearn that your creative season is behind you.
It is never too late to reconnect with that creativity.
If you really want to reflect deeply on this, just ask yourself a couple of things. When did I stop creating freely? What creative itch have I been ignoring? And when do I feel the most curious or the most stuck? Okay, just a little food for thought. All right. We're not, we talked a little bit about this last week when we talked about the self-awareness thing. We're not talking about reinvention or crafting a new identity. You're already you. You're you, and you're pretty bloody awesome, okay?
Yes, you
All
are.
you need is some courage and some safe space to play and be creative once again, okay?
Yes.
So thinking about do something new, simple one here. Just give yourself some space and a place in your week, even if it's just 10 minutes. Remember what we said a few episodes ago? I think it was Issa Rae. Really carved out time for play. And it's the same thing, just allowing yourself to be creative, right? And it doesn't have to be like, okay, I'm going to sit down with a blank piece of paper and sketch something. It might be, I'm at work, going to change the structure of this meeting. Because I've noticed that we don't get to the point quickly enough, or people kind of drift in and out, or the quiet people don't have a way of speaking. So I'm going to find a new way to make this meeting more worthwhile for everyone, more equitable for everybody involved, So, that's an example there. But some other examples, if you do want to do something on your own, you could try something really silly and low stakes. Just doodle. Yeah. Did a little bit of doodling. Write something. Write nonsense if you want. Rearrange your furniture if you just it can be so simple. There is nothing that's going to go wrong as a result of you doing this. But just get yourself into that habit, right? Take a break from productivity and just make something without a goal. Just go for it. Just make something. I'm pretty sure right wherever you are right now, you probably have access to a piece of paper. Make a paper aeroplane. Just do it.
Yeah.
We always used to do that, right? Mine rarely flew, but it didn't really matter.
Yeah, it didn't really matter. Yeah. Or a paper boat.
A paper boat. Do you remember those things we used to do in school where, like, it's like a little bit of origami, but you would fold it and open it and close it, and it would give you like choices.
Oh yes.
Used to love.
Yes, you write like you write
numbers
stuff in it, and then you yeah.
Oh, remember those things we used to do? Do it. Just do it. And if you feel like you need an injection from the outside, follow a spark, go to a gallery, watch a documentary, read poetry, bake something crap, just allow yourself. We limit ourselves in so many ways. Yeah. And often, especially when we're adults, we forget that we can do whatever the bloody hell we want.
But even go through your camera reel. How often have you actually, all those pictures you have taken, just gathering dust in your phone, go through them.
Go through them. If you see something you like, send it to that person. Say, oh my God, remember this?
There you go. You've been creative.
Right? So just allow yourself. It's not a performance, it's a practice. So if you were to think about creativity as a muscle, you want to try and keep strengthening it every day. All right? So go for it. Okay, if you want to read more deeply about creativity, here's a few books that I think are worthwhile. Okay, I'm going to try and say this name again. So this one is written by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and it is called Creativity, Flow and the Psychology of Discovery and Invention. In this book, he dives into the science of creative flow and how it fuels meaning in our lives. So, well worth a read. Another one is by Rick Rubin. A small gasp there.
And I just finished reading this book a couple of weeks ago.
So, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. It's a meditation on how to live life more creatively. Yemi, do you want to say anything about it?
Highly recommended.
Highly recommended.
Let me tell you something. Like, I'm the kind of person when I read books, I like to extract quotes or things like that. Like, if I were to highlight the things that spoke to me in that book, I would have highlighted most of the book.
The whole thing. Yeah.
There's too many nuggets in there. And take your time and savor it. Don't rush through it. You don't have to read it cover to cover immediately. Like, just take your time and just reflect on some of the little nuggets that you get. That's how I did it, and it was just fantastic. Oh, that's top read. Yep. Top read.
Honestly, if you know what Rick Rubin looks like, you know that that's going to be a good book. So.
Yeah.
and joy.
Yes.
And then the last one is Creative Confidence by Tom and David Kelly, and it's all about reawakening your creative courage. So it works if you're an artist or a founder or just anyone who's trying to get back into their creativity. It's a really, really good book for that. As always, all of those books and many, many more are in the library on the WorkWeb website. All the links will be in the show notes. Yeah. So let's wrap it up. If this episode gave you a nudge towards creativity, we hope that you follow it. And if someone in your world needs a reminder that it's not too late to start again, send this their way.
And if you've got a few seconds, a 5-star rating or a quick review really helps us reach more people.
We're also doing short minisodes this season where we unpack real dilemmas from listeners. So if there's something that you're wrestling with at work or in life, send us an email at dilemma@thisisworkwell.com. And don't worry, we will always make sure that you stay anonymous.
Want to keep up with us online? You'll find all the links in the show notes.
Next time, we are talking about leaving. Specialist subject for me. Specifically how it really is. Sorry, just like memories. Oh, God. So we're going to specifically talk about how to quit with purpose, not panic.
Yeah.
So yeah, get ready and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.